Ready, you can take it off.
But I've never done, like, just taking my wig off and up.
Tonight on Welcome to Plathville, the fractures inside one of reality television's most controversial families appear deeper than ever before. What started years ago as a story about faith, family values, and rural simplicity has slowly transformed into something far more emotionally complicated, a painful public unraveling filled with broken trust, emotional distance, unresolved resentment, and relationships that many viewers now believe may never fully recover. Season 8, Episode 2 doesn't simply continue the story. It intensifies it. Because this episode places nearly every emotional fault line inside the Plath family under a microscope, long-standing conflicts that fans hoped might finally heal instead explode into fresh confrontations. Awkward reunions quickly become emotionally charged exchanges. Small disagreements suddenly carry the weight of years of buried pain. And once again, viewers are left asking the same question that has followed this family for seasons now. Can the Plaths actually rebuild their relationships, or are they slowly drifting beyond repair? What makes this episode especially powerful is that the tension no longer feels temporary. Earlier seasons often framed conflict as growing pains, children becoming adults, parents struggling to adapt, marriages facing challenges. But now, many fans believe the family dynamic has fundamentally changed. The emotional distance appears real. The hurt feels permanent. And perhaps most importantly, the trust between several family members seems dangerously fragile. At the center of the storm are deeply emotional conversations involving Kim Plath, Barry Plath, Ethan Plath, Micah Plath, and Mariah Plath, all navigating personal transitions while carrying emotional baggage that continues to shape nearly every interaction. Meanwhile, viewers watching at home are increasingly divided. Some believe the family is finally confronting difficult truths. Others argue the emotional damage may already be too extensive to overcome. And as social media reactions pour in following the episode, one thing becomes unmistakably clear. America is once again emotionally invested in the Plath family drama. Tonight, we break down every major moment from Welcome to Plathville Season 8, Episode 2, the emotional confrontations that are fueling online debate, the deeper family dynamics behind the tension, and what this latest chapter could mean for the future of one of TLC's most talked-about reality television families. Because for the Plaths, the conflict may no longer be about simple disagreements. It may now be about whether this family can survive the emotional weight of everything that has already happened. Do you understand why Season 8, Episode 2 carries such emotional weight? Viewers first have to understand how dramatically the Plath family story has evolved since Welcome to Plathville first premiered. When audiences were initially introduced to the Plaths, the family was presented as deeply religious, highly conservative, and intentionally separated from many aspects of modern American culture. The family's isolated lifestyle immediately became one of the show's defining characteristics. The children were raised with strict limitations involving technology, popular music, dating culture, mainstream media, and broader social influences. For many viewers, the Plaths represented a fascinating glimpse into a highly controlled family environment rarely seen on national television. But from the beginning, subtle tensions were already visible beneath the surface. As the older Plath children entered adulthood, they increasingly began questioning the rules and expectations that shaped their upbringing. That tension became the emotional engine of the series. Audiences watched as several siblings attempted to establish independence while struggling to maintain relationships with their parents, especially with Kim Plath, who quickly emerged as one of the most polarizing figures on the show. Over time, the conflict evolved beyond normal generational disagreements. The family began experiencing major emotional fractures involving boundaries, autonomy, trust, religion, marriage, and identity. Relationships that once appeared stable became deeply strained. Communication frequently broke down. Emotional confrontations became more intense. And viewers increasingly noticed that reconciliation within the family often appeared temporary rather than permanent. One of the biggest emotional storylines over the years centered around Ethan Plath and his marriage to Olivia Plath. Their relationship became symbolic of a larger cultural and emotional divide within the family. Olivia's tense relationship with Kim Plath fueled some of the show's most emotionally charged moments, while Ethan often found himself caught between loyalty to his wife and loyalty to his family. For many viewers, Ethan's emotional struggle became one of the saddest parts of the series. He frequently appeared torn between two worlds, the strict environment in which he was raised and the broader life experiences he began encountering as an adult. As seasons progressed, audiences watched him wrestle with emotional isolation, communication issues, family conflict, and the immense pressure of trying to preserve relationships that seemed increasingly unstable. Meanwhile, Micah Plath emerged as another central emotional figure in the series. Her journey represented rebellion, self-discovery, and personal reinvention. She openly challenged many aspects of her upbringing and attempted to create a life that reflected her own identity rather than the expectations imposed on her as a child. But that process came with emotional consequences. Her relationships with various family members frequently shifted between closeness and conflict, creating ongoing instability. Many fans viewed Kim's personal transformation as especially shocking. The woman once associated with strict rules and conservative control began embracing a dramatically different lifestyle. This shift generated enormous online discussion. Some viewers believed Kim was finally discovering her own identity after years of suppressing personal desires. Others accused her of hypocrisy, arguing that the rules imposed on her children no longer aligned with her own behavior and choices. Barry Plath's evolution also became a major point of discussion among fans. Initially perceived by some viewers as emotionally distant or passive, Barry gradually began showing more emotional vulnerability following the separation. Many audience members expressed sympathy for him, particularly during moments when he appeared deeply affected by the breakdown of the marriage and the changing family dynamic. By the time Season 8 arrived, the Plath family was no longer the same family viewers originally met years earlier. The isolation was gone. The children were adults. The marriages had shifted. Alliances within the family had changed. Emotional wounds had accumulated. And perhaps most significantly, years of unresolved tension had created an atmosphere where even simple conversations now carried emotional risk. That reality hangs over every scene in Season 8, Episode 2. Because the episode isn't simply about one disagreement or one argument. It reflects years of emotional history layered beneath every interaction. Every awkward silence feels loaded with unspoken resentment. Every attempt at reconciliation feels fragile. And every emotional conversation carries the weight of everything viewers have already witnessed over the course of the series. For longtime fans, this episode feels less like ordinary reality television drama and more like watching a family desperately attempt to navigate emotional damage that has accumulated for years in public view. And that's precisely why audiences remain so emotionally invested. Season 8, Episode 2 wastes very little time before diving directly into emotional tension. From the opening moments, viewers immediately sense discomfort simmering beneath otherwise ordinary interactions. Conversations feel cautious. Body language appears guarded. Even moments designed to seem lighthearted carry an undercurrent of unresolved conflict. One of the episode's defining themes is emotional distance. Several family members appear to be operating carefully around one another, almost as though everyone is aware that a single wrong comment could trigger another painful confrontation. This tension becomes especially noticeable during group interactions where conversations repeatedly drift towards sensitive emotional territory. Throughout the episode, Ethan Plath once again finds himself at the emotional center of multiple complicated dynamics. Viewers have watched Ethan struggle emotionally for several seasons now, and Episode 2 reinforces just how difficult his personal situation has become. He appears emotionally exhausted at times, carrying visible frustration while simultaneously attempting to avoid escalating conflict. His interactions suggest someone trying to maintain stability while quietly processing years of emotional strain. Fans online quickly reacted to several moments involving Ethan's communication style during the episode. Some viewers interpreted his reserved demeanor as emotional shutdown caused by accumulated stress and disappointment. Others argued he continues struggling to express his emotions openly, creating further distance in already fragile relationships. Meanwhile, tensions involving Plath also become increasingly emotional throughout the episode. Mariah's journey has consistently involved balancing independence with family connection, and Season 8, Episode 2 highlights how emotionally difficult that balance remains. Several conversations reveal lingering hurt, confusion, and unresolved emotional pain connected to previous conflicts within the family. At certain moments, viewers can sense genuine desire for healing among the siblings. But there is also clear evidence that trust remains fragile. That emotional uncertainty becomes one of the episode's strongest narrative elements. Rather than offering easy resolutions, the episode repeatedly shows how difficult reconciliation becomes once relationships experience years of emotional damage. Conversations often start calmly before drifting into emotionally uncomfortable territory. Attempts at understanding sometimes expose even deeper misunderstandings. Plath's presence in the episode also generates significant emotional reaction. Over the past several seasons, Kim has become one of the most debated personalities on reality television. In Episode 2, viewers again see how complicated her relationships with her children have become. Certain interactions appear sincere and emotionally vulnerable, while others reignite long-standing criticism from fans who believe accountability within the family remains unresolved. Social media commentary during and after the episode reflected this divide almost immediately. Some viewers praised moments where family members appeared willing to communicate honestly despite emotional discomfort. Others expressed frustration that certain issues continue resurfacing without meaningful resolution. Plath's role in the episode also drew substantial attention from audiences. Many fans noted his calmer demeanor during emotionally difficult moments, interpreting his behavior as evidence of personal growth following the family's upheaval. However, others questioned whether deeper emotional issues within the family are still being avoided rather than directly confronted. As the episode progresses, it becomes increasingly clear that nearly every family member is navigating competing emotional priorities. Some want peace. Some want accountability. Some appear emotionally exhausted. Others seem desperate to preserve relationships before more damage occurs. From a broader reality television perspective, Welcome to Plathville occupies a unique space within modern American entertainment culture. Unlike traditional reality shows built primarily around competition or spectacle, the Plath series operates almost entirely through emotional tension and interpersonal dynamics. The conflicts resonate because they touch on universal themes: parental control, personal freedom, marriage struggles, religious identity, emotional trauma, and family loyalty. Experts who study reality television often point to shows like Welcome to Plathville as examples of how modern audiences increasingly gravitate toward emotionally raw storytelling rather than heavily manufactured drama. Viewers do not simply watch the Plaths for entertainment. They watch because the family's struggles feel emotionally recognizable. Even audiences who have never experienced a strict religious upbringing often relate to the broader emotional themes involving generational conflict, changing identity, and the difficulty of maintaining family relationships during periods of personal transformation. Season 8, Episode 2 especially highlights the psychological complexity involved in family systems undergoing major change. When families experience significant shifts, divorce, ideological differences, independence, emotional estrangement, every relationship within the family structure can become destabilized. Experts frequently note that unresolved emotional tension rarely disappears quietly. Instead, it often resurfaces repeatedly until addressed directly. That pattern is clearly visible throughout the episode. Several interactions suggest that older emotional conflicts remain unresolved beneath the surface, even when family members attempt to move forward. Communication frequently appears reactive rather than fully healed. There is also a fascinating cultural layer to the public response surrounding the Plath family. American audiences remain deeply divided regarding how to interpret the family's evolution. Some viewers see the Plath children as survivors of overly restrictive parenting, attempting to reclaim personal autonomy. Others believe the parents were sincerely trying to protect their children according to deeply held values. This division fuels intense online discussion because viewers often project their own experiences and beliefs onto the family dynamic. For some audiences, the series becomes a conversation about religious conservatism. For others, it becomes a discussion about parenting boundaries. For still others, it reflects broader American debates about identity, control, personal freedom, and emotional accountability. Season 8, Episode 2 taps directly into these themes. The episode repeatedly raises difficult emotional questions without offering simple answers. Who deserves forgiveness? How much responsibility do parents carry for emotional harm? Can family members truly change? And perhaps most painfully, what happens when people grow into fundamentally different versions of themselves? From a media standpoint, TLC also benefits from the emotional authenticity many viewers perceive in the show. Reality television audiences have become increasingly skeptical of overly scripted drama. Shows that feel emotionally real tend to generate stronger audience engagement, particularly online where viewers dissect emotional moments scene by scene. That phenomenon was especially visible after Episode 2 aired. Clips, reactions, and commentary spread rapidly across social media platforms as fans debated the emotional dynamics between various family members. Some viewers passionately defended certain cast members while criticizing others. Many discussions became deeply personal, with viewers connecting the Plath family conflicts to their own experiences involving religion, divorce, controlling parents, or fractured family relationships. Financially, emotionally driven reality television remains highly valuable precisely because it creates this kind of sustained audience investment. Fans do not merely consume episodes passively. They analyze them. They debate them. They emotionally attach themselves to the people involved. And in the case of Welcome to Plathville, the emotional complexity surrounding the family has become one of the show's defining strengths. Almost immediately after Season 8, Episode 2 aired, social media platforms exploded with reactions. On platforms like X, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, and Facebook, viewers dissected nearly every emotional interaction from the episode. Certain scenes quickly became focal points for intense debate, particularly moments involving emotional confrontation, visible discomfort, and unresolved tension between family members. One major theme dominating online discussion involved Ethan Plath. Many viewers expressed deep sympathy for him, arguing that years of emotional conflict appear to have left him emotionally drained. Some fans described his demeanor during the episode as heartbreaking, pointing to moments where he seemed withdrawn, conflicted, or emotionally exhausted. Others, however, argued that Ethan's communication struggles continue contributing to the family's dysfunction. These viewers suggested that emotional avoidance has become a recurring issue throughout the series. The divided reaction reflects something larger about the show itself. Audiences rarely agree on who is right or wrong, and that ambiguity fuels even stronger engagement. Mariah Plath also became a major topic of conversation online. Fans debated whether she has been unfairly criticized within the family dynamic or whether certain conflicts stem from deeper communication issues involving multiple family members. Many viewers noted how emotionally vulnerable she appeared during parts of the episode, while others questioned whether the family truly understands her perspective. Kim Plath once again generated some of the strongest reactions overall. Supporters argued she deserves empathy as someone navigating massive personal changes later in life. Critics accused her of inconsistency and emotional hypocrisy based on earlier seasons. This split has followed Kim for years, but Episode 2 intensified the debate yet again.
My friends decide